The Summer Reading Committee has been hard at work choosing books that we feel are sure to spark your interest. We are offering a variety of books this year, as we hope that at least one of them will be a book that speaks to you and something that you would enjoy reading this. The first book that we're going to talk about today is The Express, the Ernie Davis story by Robert C. Gallagher. Now, have you ever heard of Ernie Davis, otherwise known as The Express or the Elmira Express? Well, he was a 3-time All-American halfback when he played for Syracuse University. In 1960, he won the MVP for the Cotton Bowl. In 1961, he was the first African American to win the Heisman Trophy. And in 1962, he was the first-round overall draft pick chosen by the Cleveland Browns. The Browns retired Ernie's jersey, even though he never got to play a single game for them. Ernie's story is one of strength, courage, and determination. He was a beloved athlete and admired by everyone he met, including President John F. Kennedy Jr., who sent the following telegram when he discovered that Syracuse would be honoring Davis for the school holiday. Seldom has an athlete been more deserving of such a tribute. Your high standards of performance on the field and off the field reflect the finest qualities of competition, sportsmanship, and citizenship. The nation has bestowed upon you its highest award for athletic achievement. It's a privilege for me to address you tonight as an outstanding American and as a worthy example of our youth. I salute you. Now, to find out what happened to Ernie, why he never got to play for Syracuse, and why he was nicknamed the Express, you will need to read his remarkable story. And it truly is a remarkable book. I highly recommend it. The second book we're going to discuss today is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. Now imagine yourself being the only witness to a violent crime. That is the situation Star finds herself in when she sees one of her childhood friends get killed in front of her for the second time in her life. The 16-year-old Star Carter lives in two very different worlds. There's the urban area that she lives in and the fancy suburban prep school she attends. Now, on the night when one of her best childhood friends, Khalil, who is unarmed, gets killed in front of her, both worlds are thrown completely off balance. It does not take long before Khalil's story is plastered all over the news and his reputation is being smeared. Some people are calling him a thug, saying that he is a drug dealer and a gangbanger. Protesters are taking to the street in Khalil's name. Now, there are some cops and the local drug lord who are trying to intimidate Star and her family. What everyone wants to know is what really happened that night. Star is the only person alive who can answer that question. Now, what Star does or does not say could upend her entire community. It could also put her life and the lives of her family in danger. To find out what Star does or does not say, you will need to read this book. The third book we're going to talk about today is Love, Hate, and Other Filters by Samira Ahmed. Now, like Star in The Hate U Give, 17-year-old Maya Aziz is torn between two worlds. There's the proper one that her parents expect for their good Indian daughter, going to school close to home at the University of Chicago, studying law, and dating Kareem, an older Muslim boy her parents feel is suitable. Then there's the world of Maya's dreams, moving to New York, attending NYU Film School, and pursuing Phil, a white boy she's known from afar since grade school. But in the aftermath of a horrific crime, Maya's world is torn apart. The community she's known since birth has become unrecognizable. Neighbors and classmates are consumed with fear, bigotry, and hatred towards Maya and her family. Will Maya find the courage to determine where she truly belongs, even if it means disappointing her parents? I'll have to read the book to find out. Love, Hate, and Other Filters. Our next book is Hey Kiddo, a graphic memoir of the author and illustrator Jarrett Krasaska. When Jarrett was in kindergarten, the teacher asked the class to draw a picture of their family, including their mother and father. Jarrett was unable to complete this assignment as his family is way more complicated than that. His mother, a heroin addict, was in and out of treatment and in and out of Jarrett's life. His father was a complete mystery to him. He didn't know where he lives or even what his name is. Jarrett does live with his grandparents, two very loud, very loving, and very opinionated people who thought they were done raising kids until Jarrett came along. Now, Jarrett tries to make his situation as normal as possible, expressing himself through his art. It isn't until he's a teenager that he begins to find out the truth about his family, reckoning with his mother and her addiction, and discovering who his father is. The question is, will that truth help Jarrett or only serve to hurt him further? I'll have to read the book to find out. Hey, Kiddo. Our next book is called Beartown by Frederick Bachman. Late one evening, toward the end of March, a teenager picked up a double-barreled shotgun, walked into the forest, put the gun to someone else's forehead, and pulled the trigger. That is how the book Beartown begins. The junior ice hockey team is the pride of Beartown, a small, struggling community in rural northern Sweden. Kevin Erdahl is the star of the junior hockey team, a role his parents have been obsessively grooming him for since he was a small child. The town views him as its most important asset. Kevin has been training for this moment his entire life. His team is one game away from winning the championship. But before that fateful game can happen, an incident will occur at a party. This incident will not only change Kevin's future, but it will impact the entire town. And the town members will need to make a decision on what they stand for. And the stakes are suddenly higher than hockey. Will the town ever recover from this seemingly insurmountable obstacle that is ripping them apart? You'll have to read Beartown to find out. Our last book is X by Ilyasa Shabazz with Kekla Magoon. Red, Sammy shouts. He bangs on the bathroom door. You gotta go, man. You gotta go now. I curl against the cold tiles. I never imagined I'd be brought so low. Archie's here to kill me, and there's nothing I can do. My life flashes before my eyes. Every place I've ever known. Every face I've ever loved. Everything I've ever done. And it all seems like a dream now. As if any minute I'll wake up in my childhood bed in Lansing, Michigan, and I'll be 5 years old, with Papa still alive, and Mom home and smiling, her arms open wide to hold me. But Sammy's voice is what's real. Red! You hear me? Red! Here and now, I don't want to be Detroit Red. I want to slip the skin of this life. To be new and clean again. Just start over. I've done it before. I slide my hands over my smooth conch down to my neck bone, fingers locking tight. It isn't me they're after. It isn't me who's here. Red! Red! No, 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 not Red. I am Malcolm. I am Malcolm Little. I am my father's son. But to be my father's son means that they will always come for me. They will always come for me, and I will always succumb. Now, Malcolm Little's parents told him that he could do anything he set his mind to. But Malcolm knows that this is far from the truth. His father was murdered, and his mother is in a mental institution. And when he shared his dreams of wanting to become a lawyer at school, they were ridiculed due to the color of his skin. Frustrated, Malcolm leaves Michigan for Boston and New York, succumbing to the nightlife there of jazz and fancy suits and girls and reefer. After to leave the past behind, Malcolm finds himself in increasingly dangerous territory, especially when some small-time hustling quickly spirals out of control. Deep down, Malcolm realizes that the freedom he's found is only an illusion and that he cannot run forever. So will Malcolm get away from Archie? And if he does, will he manage to stay out of trouble? If you do choose this book, I want you to think about what young Malcolm is facing in the 30s and 40s and how it may relate to some of the issues you guys face today. X. I hope at least one of these books sounds like something you'd be interested in reading over the summer. If you have any questions about any of the books or any other books, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm always here and happy to help you.